Uh, Ever wonder why, after 25 years, Pokemon movies still feel familiar? For generations, the premise was simple: a rare creature, a heartwarming story, and an emotional punch. When these films were an annual event, that formula worked. But in the age of streaming, something's changed. Uh, these movies now occupy a strange middle ground. Uh, they're no longer the must see events they once were, rarely bold enough to stand alone, and often rely on the same emotional beats without truly evolving. Um, Pokemon the movie, Secrets of the Jungle, aimed for a fresh start, but instead exposed just how worn the formula had become. Um, the film centered on Coco, a boy raised by Pokemon, and Zarude, his protector. The intention was clear. The intention was clear. Uh, Parent-child bond, complete with bullying, a found family, and a tear-jerking crisis. Um, but the script skipped over the difficult parts, the choices that create real change, and Coco's desire for belonging felt compelling. But the story kept circling back to the same surface level misunderstandings. The villain arrived not as a character with motivations, but as a plot device. Chase scenes and a last minute moral lesson were prioritized over depth. When a story relies on a weak antagonist, uh, the emotional arc has to work harder. But here it felt like shortcuts were taken with louder music and bigger tragedies. Um, there were glimmers of potential enforcements that anime offers. The story of a wild child raised by Pokemon could have explored themes of identity and the ethics of taming nature. But the film settled for a familiar message delivered in a predictable way. Uh, 5 years later, that same approach continues to define the franchise's cinematic output. Um, Secrets of the Jungle wasn't an isolated incident, um, because it's a loud example of a template that uh, keeps repeating. Um, a child or young hero meets a special Pokemon, secrecy, or trauma. A corporation or collector moves in to exploit that power. Uh, a misunderstanding escalates into a chase, followed by a speech about harmony and a last minute sacrifice that resets everything. Uh, it's not that repetition is inherently bad, and Pokemon thrives on it, and the games rely on ritual. Uh, but movies need escalation. A feature-length runtime demands a conflict that changes characters in a way that can't be neatly packed away after the credits. Recent films rarely attempt that. Side characters deliver exposition, and the villain is a switch that turns danger on and off. Um, this also reduces the Pokemon themselves to emotional props. The unique creature at the center becomes a symbol first and a personality second. And when the Pokemon is treated as a metaphor, the finale feels like an oversized gesture meant to earn tears. Uh, The reset comes, the message is spoken, and nothing feels meaningfully altered. While visually cleaner than older entries, the films don't feel truly cinematic. And Secrets of the Jungle has attractive backgrounds and expressive characters, but the action rarely builds to the kind of clarity and escalation that makes a movie feel big. But tense sequences often cut away just as danger sharpens, and fights lack strategic fun, favoring vague energy blasts and team ups. Choreography is replaced by spectacle, and movement registers without impact. Tight climaxes rely on montage and music to simulate escalation. A film designed for a living room screen can survive on mood and a familiar arc, but a theatrical movie needs bolder visual ambition. These films feel like upgrades, not reinventions. The core problem is a strategy built around safety. The franchise keeps reaching for universal sentiment while sanding down everything that could feel specific or challenging. And when movies refuse to matter to the broader saga, they also lose the pressure that forces sharper plotting. A story that can't change anything outside its own runtime will default to symbolic conflict and soft resolutions. So what if Pokemon movies took a risk? A truly standalone film could be director-driven, region-specific, and willing to build a human cast with complicated motives. A canon-adjacent film could take advantage of stakes that ripple, even if it's just emotional. An anthology approach could embrace different genres without forcing every narrative into the same mold. Secrets of the Jungle hints at these possibilities, especially when Zarude's protectiveness becomes thorny rather than cute. But the film ultimately retreats to comfort, choosing a familiar lecture over a difficult decision. And 5 years later, that retreat still defines the movie line. Pokemon has a world of potential, but until the films treat that world as a place with consequences, the audience will keep getting forgettable comfort food. Speaking of comfort food, why did the Pikachu cross the road? To prove he wasn't chicken? With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.